First thing I want to say is, does everybody here understand that there is no mass on the quantum level? And do you understand what I mean when I say that? That there is no mass on the quantum level. That what we live in here today is a hologram. It's a virtual reality, much like the games that our kids play. In fact, it's very much like that. And if you think about it, if you don't believe that, or if you have trouble understanding that, and we'll get into why this is important to understand in a few minutes, is if you think about an atom, just the simplest molecule of hydrogen, one proton, one neutron, and one electron. If we had a microscope that would zoom in to let you see what that proton, neutron, and electron look like. Let's zoom in on the electron, because we know that electrons are the thing that's responsible for the formation of mass as we know it. So if we zoom in on that electron, what we find is not a large particle, an electron, but a group of smaller particles stuck together by a sticky substance, mostly consisting of hydrogen. Other things too, but mostly hydrogen, which is very sticky. So then if we zoomed in a little bit further on one of those particles, what we would find would be quarks and gluons, which is other smaller particles stuck together. And then if we zoomed in on the quarks and gluons, what we would eventually find is what I call the irreducible unit, or nothing but energy. So if there's no mass on the quantum level and there's nothing but energy, the only thing that separates you from being anything else is the frequency of which that thing vibrates. The fabric of my jacket is no different atoms than the fabric of this thing. Just the combination of the molecules are different. It's the speed at which they vibrate that makes them appear to have mass. So if there's no mass on the quantum level, what separates us from anything else? Nothing. We are God, so to speak, with the knowing taken away, each one of us. Each one of us has amazing abilities. We're physical beings with a spiritual source, experiencing a physical reality. So what does that mean to us? I hear many people saying to me all the time, Eva, I have complete free will. I can do anything that I want. Well, I'm here to tell you today that you do not have complete free will. And I know this is a highly controversial topic, but if you had complete free will, would I have lost my glasses right before I'm going to walk up on the stage? No, because that was a very panicking situation to me because I can't read my notes when I need to. You know, if we had free will, would we ever get into an automobile accident and have our leg cut off so that we have to be crippled for the rest of our lives? Or would Christopher Reeve be paralyzed from the neck down? No. Those are life lessons. What we do have is complete free will as to how we're going to react to a situation. And I tell a little story, actually a story that my teacher taught me. Imagine that you're a little 2-year-old child sitting in a car seat, sitting in the back seat, and you got a little yellow steering wheel. You're so happy driving the car because that's what mom's doing in the front seat, mom being equivalent to source or God or whatever you want to call it. And you're driving, so you come up to the four-way stop, and the grocery store is on the left, and the playground's on the right, and you start smiling, I'm going to the playground today. And source or mom, whatever your higher power is, says, oh no, we're going to the grocery store today. Whose steering wheel is going to work? It's not going to be yours. It's going to be source. So what does this mean to you? It means that you do not have complete free will in physical reality. You have free will as to how you're going to react to a situation that's presented to you. At that moment when you find out that your steering wheel doesn't work, do you throw a fit and get a spanking? Or do you say, okay, we're going to the playground another day, and accept it? Accept it and simply submit to what is. So at that moment you find out that you don't have free will, but you have free will as to whether you're going to act up or not. Now, when you choose to make this decision, if you choose to fight it and throw a fit so that you get a spanking, what you do is to cause something, you utilize something called, it just went out of my head, polarities. Yes or no, black and white, yin or yang, positive or negative. And so even though you don't have complete free will, you do have complete free will to place an intention and hope that it manifests. We do know that intention does work, but it's very subtle. In fact, Bob John, the dean of the engineering department at Princeton University, if you're interested in looking up his work, you can look up Princeton PEAR, P-E-A-R, for Princeton's anomalies and engineering, or engineering and anomalies research. And they used something where Bob John made a pegboard, basically. And it had wooden pegs in it that went up like this and down like this and formed a bell-shaped curve. And he would drop ping pong balls in it, 10,000 of them at a time. And you would imagine that if you dropped 10,000 ping pong balls into a pegboard with a piece of plexiglass on the front and a bell-shaped curve, that they would all fall randomly onto the right or the left, kind of like that thing they do on the lottery. But what Bob John found out was that if he got someone who could get into an altered state of mind, like in low theta or high delta, that he could cause all of these balls to fall to the left. If the person would meditate, get in the altered state, and think all these balls are going to fall to the left, that's exactly what would happen. But it wouldn't do it so that you could recognize it with the naked eye. They had to do it with the computer so that they could calculate it to the like 0.100ths. And after doing lots of these experiments and putting the data together, they could see that it made an obvious gradual fall to the left of all of these ping pong balls. So it tells us we can change physical reality with thought. But energy is subtle when it comes to manipulating the etheric field, and you have to be in an altered state of mind. If you're walking around in your everyday state of mind, what am I going to do about this? What am I going to do about that? I can't stand this. I can't stand that. Then your subconscious mind is going to run, and it's going to, over time, build those things that's going to make your life what it is. You are creating today what you're going to live in 10 years. Think about it. When you were in high school, you said, I am going to have this kind of car at this time in my life, and you get that car. I mean, you have to go and put the pieces together. You have to go a job and make money and make it happen. But you do those things that it takes, and that's how intention works. If you don't put in the longitude and the latitude when you're trying to place an intention, and you're not in that altered state of mind, nothing is going to happen, except you're going to get your wishes unmet. But when you place these intentions, you have to move your feet, like when you're playing a tennis game. You have to move your feet and do the thing. You visualize what it is that you want, and that thing will happen, but you must be in low theta or high delta to make it happen. There are some tools that you can use. One of them is something called binaural beats. And if you want to read Tom Campbell's book, it's called My Big Toe. Tom Campbell is a nuclear physicist, and he worked at the Monroe Institute when they first started it long ago doing the out-of-body research. What's important about binaural beats is it must be at 3.8 hertz intervals. There's a program you can get, and I think it's called Brainstem Pro. You can email me, and I can tell you exactly what it is. But you can buy this program for $30 on the internet. And you can practice with it at home using binaural beats. It may not happen the first time, may not happen the second time, but you keep practicing, and it will get you in that low theta state or that high delta state so that you can learn how to manipulate your reality. Another tool that you can use is Celeron. That's a break-off of Princeton's PEAR lab. They've made a lamp, and it's called the Mind Lamp. And they won't tell you that you can use it because they don't really know what it is, but we've had private conversations. This lamp has a random event generator embedded in the bottom of it. A random event generator, if you go to the Global Consciousness Project by Roger Nelson, you can see that they've used this. They plant these random event generators all over the world, and it measures cohesiveness of consciousness wherever it is. And they found when they get a cohesion in consciousness that something is about to happen. In other words, the mass consciousness in that area has gotten very sticky because the mass consciousness are all thinking about somewhat of the same thing, like the World Trade Center when it got bombed. 3 days before it happened, the random event generator in that area became non-random, more ones than zeros. So the mind lamp, they use it's a lamp, but it rotates through the electromagnetic spectrum like the rainbow, the colors of the rainbow. And somehow it knows how to connect to you. I don't know how, and they don't know how either, but it seems to do this. And when you get in a cohesive state, the lamp stops rotating. And in other words, it gets stuck on one color. And what that tells you is that your state is cohesive and that you are in that position to try to manipulate your reality and the outcomes of what's going to happen in your future. It's the time to meditate. It's the time to place the intention. Don't let me get distracted because I want to go back to this lamp, but I want to say this about placing intention. When people say prayers, particularly in churches, I've heard them pray for 30 minutes. Pray for this and that and this and that and this and that. That's like having a lake full of water. Let's say you have a pond full of water and you have 100 people surrounding that pond, standing there with a rock in their hand, and their goal is to get all of the water out of the pond. So if everybody there has a pebble and they throw it in the water, what's going to happen is all the water's going to randomly splash and make a big mess. They're not going to accomplish their goal of getting the water out of the pond. Thank you. But somebody found my reading glasses.
Oh, no one told me.
That's all right. Thank you. I'll keep them in case I drop these.
No, that's another lady talking.
Okay, thank you. So what's going to happen is you're going to have a lot of random splashes, and you're not going to accomplish your goal. So if you want to get the water out, everybody around the pond has to hold a pebble the exact same size, the exact same shape, and throw the pebble in the pond at exactly the same time with the exact amount of momentum. And if they do that, all the water is going to come out of the pond. So what does that mean to you about intention? That means if you're trying to change your life with an intention, if you're trying to change the path, and we're going to talk a little bit more about what is the path and how can it be changed, and how much can it be changed. But if you're trying to do that, it needs to be a very short, focused intention. The best one that the scientists have found, and there's been lots of studies with this by Noetic Sciences, by the people at Princeton, by Gary Schwartz in Arizona. There's a lot of things going on. With Bill Tiller, the best one is simply, "Thy will be done." Because that way the highest thing in your life for your highest purpose will be done. Or, "I'm healthy." Or, "I'm healed of addiction." Or, "I am whole again. I'm whole." It's as simple and as focused as you can get. Otherwise, it's like throwing random pebbles all over the pond. There's science to support this. Look at Bill Tiller's work, tiller.org. Look at Dean Radin's work in Entangled Minds. You can read Lynn Matt-Taggart's book, who's pretty much an overview of all of the scientists. You can read my new and upcoming book, which will be out hopefully by the summer. Not even sure the name yet, but it's probably going to be Consciousness Bridging the Gap, and it's going to be interviews with Bill Tiller, Bob John, Henry Stapp, Ervin Laszlo, Dean Radin, Edgar Mitchell, asking all of the big questions. So back to the pear lamp. Some of us suspect in conversations on the side is we know that the electromagnetic spectrum is in gradients. We know that consciousness is in gradients. And when I say consciousness in this particular aspect, I mean awareness. So we know that, like the rainbow, the colors of the electromagnetic spectrum start at the bottom and go up, with purple being the top. So whatever this color is on where the random event generator lamp stops, that probably tells you what level of consciousness you are residing in. How high state of mind are you in? How much awareness of who you are on the inside at the moment? How powerful is your ability to intend at that moment? So it's like a tool that